So can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. You wanted her, so just give me what I deserve. Looking for revenge, I don't need you to be my friend. I just want this fake love to come to an end. So can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. You wanted her, so just give me what I deserve. So can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. Run back to her, cause I got what I want, closure. You wanted her. You left me hurt. But I won't cry as long as I give me some closure. Who you think you are. You're lucky that I don't want revenge. So can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. You wanted her, so just give me what I deserve. So can I get some closure? Stay right where you are and don't come closer. If you haven't picked it up, it's over. Run back to her, cause I got what I want, closure.
What's up, you guys? How y'all doing today? I'm gonna teach you guys how to shoot a proper drone hyperlapse using the Mavic 2 Pro. In order to get a really good hyperlapse, especially during the daytime, is gonna be with some strong ND filters. Right now I'm actually using an ND16 during the daylight. That's normally what I'm rocking during the daylight hours for that nice motion blur. I set my shutter speed to 1/4 of a second. Pro tip, I do have my batteries labeled. Number 1 on that battery, number 2, and number 3. That way, as I go through them, I know which one I've already spent. The more tips while you're trying to shoot a hyperlapse is pick a day that's not too windy, and pick a subject that has some movement, whether that's some cars or clouds. It would be futile for you to waste your time shooting a hyperlapse of a still subject because you can't really tell that there's any motion involved. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into our DJI. Check out my friend who's running over there. Actually, I have no idea who that is. What you'll notice what I'm doing now is switching over the DJI from video mode to photo mode, and I'm just playing with all of my camera settings that I said earlier, adjusting the shutter speed and the aperture here. It's time to take off and go to our first location. This first hyperlapse, I'm going to use the waypoint option, which all the hyperlapses are going to be found over here in this category. Once I'm in the air, I'm going to go ahead and check my camera settings one last time, making sure I want them to be exactly where they need to be, because once you start your hyperlapse, you cannot change these settings any longer. Excellent. I'm slightly overexposed because I am anticipating the sun going down. So let's go ahead and go to waypoints here, and I'm gonna click OK and select my first waypoint, which is right here. Once I select that waypoint, I'm going to fly out to my second location, which let me just speed that up real quick so you don't have to watch me fly everywhere. I'm going to play with the elevation gain because I think that's just going to look a lot better. And I want to get all of these cars flying over that bridge. Select my second location. Now here I'm going to switch the order and I'm going to do it reversed. That way I am going to leave from the last location and fly back to the first location. Now I'm going to select my interval range. This is going to tell you how long you want your hyperlapse to be. It's going to tell you how long it's going to take for the hyperlapse to occur, and obviously that's going to go and correlate with your battery period as well. Once you do that, you're going to click save. Save this flight path, which is really neat because I believe you can use the same flight path as you did prior in a future hyperlapse and splice them together.
Guys, look at this. It looks so good. Wow.
Critically low battery. Critically low battery.
All right, you guys, we barely landed this thing. It was starting to self-land. Do not do that. That is a pro tip. Do not push the limits on your drone. There's always another sunset, but we got them. We got the hyperlapses. I can't believe that sunset behind me. Let me just look at that sunset there. I was just very proud whenever I was able to capture that on the drone. Let's go take this drone back to Premiere Pro and show you guys how we get the final product. Did you actually make it all the way back to my office? We are already 5 minutes into this video. You guys are amazing. I completely failed to mention during the entire video that the whole purpose of switching over from video to photo mode on the drone was to actually capture raw photos. So make sure when you get into your drone, save original, and make sure that your photo specs are set to raw, because we want to shoot raw photos, which are going to give us the most amount of data inside of each photo. So let's go ahead and hop in to Lightroom Classic and let me teach you guys how we're going to take these DJI raw photos, stitch them together, and put them into Premiere Pro to create an epic hyperlapse video. All right, I am inside Lightroom Classic. I got all of my photos on the timeline here, and I am going to edit the very first photo in this hyperlapse sequence. So let's go ahead and start with a little white balance action. I'm going to click on this white semi-truck there, which is going to adjust it ever so slightly. On the exposure, I'm going to bring the exposure down just a tad bit, negative 0.2. Contrast, maybe like a 7 on the contrast, plus 10, that'll work. On the highlights, definitely gonna bring down the highlights so I can get some more of that sky visible, probably down negative 88. Shadows, the shadows look not too bad. I'm not gonna mess with those too much. I'll do a plus 8 on the shadows. The blacks I usually don't play with too much. I can drop the blacks down a bit more and the whites up a bit more. The texture, I like to give it just a little bit of texture, 5 to 7 on the texture, and the same thing with the clarity. Not too much. When I first started editing photos and I started editing film, I was kind of overdoing it a bit, and sometimes less is more when it comes to these things. Some vibrance, plus 12, just to get that sky going a little bit. Saturation, plus 3. Everything's looking good over here. I'm going to maybe just drop the highlights down a bit more as well. Bring up the shadows a bit. Here's where you can get real creative in the HSL color curves. You can play around with a lot of things. Since we are doing like this sky, I definitely want to make the sky pop, so the blues and the greens pop just a little bit more. Let's go ahead and start playing with these color slides here. The blue is going to be the first one I'm going to start with. The hue, just kind of make that sky a little warmer. Saturation on the sky. Now with the aquas. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the greens now. Start with the hue on the greens. Gonna make the greens a little bit more green. Saturation on the greens as well. Pop those a bit more and brighten them up a little bit. Excellent. Split toning. I do like to go for a little bit of the orange in the highlights. And in the shadows, I always like to go with that blue teal look. Ever so slightly. And just to get that balance, you can kind of figure out where that sweet spot is, and it's pretty much there right in the middle. Sharpen it just a bit. And I don't think there's much else that I really want to do to this photo. I think I'm pretty happy with where this is at right now. To see our progress, to see kind of the before and after photo, just use the keyboard shortcut Y, and that's going to show you what we did here. Obviously you can see the sky is popping quite a bit more, and the greens are just a little bit more green. I think it's perfect without being overdone. So in order to get the same look across all 365 photos, we can either go in there and match each of the settings, or we can copy and paste to all 365 photos, which that's what I would rather do. So go ahead and right click on your first photo, go ahead and go to develop settings, and we are going to copy settings, copy all the settings, select your second photo, scroll all the way down to your last photo, hold down shift and select that one. So now you've selected 364 of the next photos. Right click, develop settings, and paste settings. Boom. So now all of these photos are just gonna look amazing. You can see the before and after there, and the sky just looks fantastic. I'm very pleased with how that looks. Once you select all 365 photos, we are going to File, Export. We're going to choose where we're going to export these, and we are going to export these as Hyperlapse raw files, and we're going to collect new folder, and we're going to call this Bridge Photo Hyperlapse Edit. Select the folder. Very important here, and I made this mistake before, make sure that you do save them by the file name, and I'll show you why in a second. Quality 100% and export. Okay, the export time on these photos are going to take a while. So while these photos are exporting, because they are very large file sizes, let's take a break and we will reconvene. Alrighty, the photos have been exported from Lightroom Classic. We are going to import those into Premiere Pro. Done a double tap here, click on that first photo, make sure your image sequence is selected, and what that's going to do is stitch all of these photos together to create a hyperlapse video. Go ahead and open that up. As you see here, we have the video right here, and on the video you might have to zoom in a bit on this video, scale this up. Alright, that is the end to what I think was a successful first tutorial. If it's your first time here, my name is Kostas Lazanis. I would love it if you subscribe to the channel. Hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment below. Get out there, fire up your own drone, capture those amazing hyperlapses, and share something phenomenal with the world. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.